Hey guys, thank you for tuning in with me today. I got an amazing book that literally blew my mind. It's The Madness of Miss Grey by Julia Bennet. This was my first book by this author, and as soon as I finished it, I immediately looked up the second book in the series, which turned out at the time the second book hadn't come out yet, so I was eagerly waiting, and now that it's finally out, I got my hands on it right away. That's how good The Madness of Miss Grey was. As I said, this book completely blew my mind. I love books that are different from the typical historical romance. In this book, we have Helen, who's been locked away at an asylum for 10 years, since she was 15. The only reason she was locked away is because she's the daughter of a very influential person. She's literally locked away by her own father because she's a bastard. Her mother was an actress, and when her mother passed away, her father just needed to be rid of his daughter to ensure she doesn't ruin his reputation somehow. So he locked her up. He's been paying to keep her locked. She's perfectly sane, but she pretty much has been in the asylum since she was 15. She tried to run away several times, and she was unsuccessful. William is her new doctor. So there's that forbidden love component between a doctor and a patient, and we actually see that mental struggle that William experiences because he recognizes that what he feels for Helen is forbidden, that he's in the place of power over her and he should not take any advantage. The author made characters not easy to like, which actually only made them more realistic and more likable, frankly. Helen is, I don't want to say promiscuous, but by the time she got to the asylum at the age of 15, she already had some sexual experience. And the way her mother taught her was, if you like a man, why don't share the physical intimacy with him? And during her time in the asylum, she actually tried to seduce some doctors in order to get them to help her to escape. And initially, she was planning on seducing William as well, in order to get him to help her escape. William is such a good character. He is not a good-looking man, which was a very nice change from your typical super handsome historical romance hero who looks like a god. William acknowledged several times that he doesn't possess good look. Helen acknowledged that yes, this doctor isn't handsome, and in fact the reason William was assigned as Helen's doctor was basically because he's not good looking. So the main doctor in the asylum thought that since William is not good looking, Helen is not gonna try to seduce him, which is ridiculous, and it actually pricks William's pride quite a bit. I really enjoyed this little detail about William, his looks, because he's so much more than his looks. He's such a kind, fair person. He does what's right, or at least he aims to do what's right. And when he realizes that Helen is perfectly sane, he actually wants to help her. Throughout the book, he starts developing feelings for her, and he acknowledges that they are not necessarily okay because he's the doctor, he's in that place of authority. And he also kind of accepts that Helen will not feel the same towards him, which is actually not true because Helen is getting attached to him. She's really starting to like him. And eventually she does fall in love. Genuinely, honestly, she falls in love with William. And he's just such a happy man when he realizes that she loves him back. In order to help Helen, William ends up marrying her. That happens more towards the end of the book. The sexual relationship between William and Helen is also explored, and the book had quite a good amount of steamy scenes. In fact, one of the things I loved about the book was their first intimate encounter, which was quite bad and left Helen disappointed because William finished too quick because it's just been too long for him. And Helen is like, is this it? Is there something wrong with him? What's going on? So that was quite realistic compared to many historical romance books where the character's first time is just magical. However, it does get better for them, and the book it has a good amount of steamy scenes. I enjoyed it very much. The main plot of the book is, aside from their developing relationship, is of course William getting Helen out of the asylum. And they get some unexpected help towards the end of the book, which is actually connected to the second book in the series, which I just got my hands on and I'm so excited to read. I thought this book was absolutely beautiful. It's just one of those stories that stays with you. It's so different from your typical HR. It is very well written and the characters are quite complex. Once again, William is just an amazing man, a very deep character, very complex guy, and I enjoyed getting to know him. Helen was also very interesting and very complex, not your typical likable female character, but it's so nice to see something different in the genre. The forbidden love theme, the doctor-patient relationship, all of that was so good. At times the book was quite morally grey and a little bit disturbing as well, but I enjoyed it very much and I highly recommend this book. The Madness of Miss Grey, as I said, completely blew my mind. I couldn't stop reading until I finished the book. I just couldn't peel myself off my Kindle until I finished because of how good it was, how captivating it was, how engaged it kept me. Again, if you haven't read it yet, absolutely recommend it. Please do so. If you have already read it, share your thoughts. And also, if you know other books where the male character is a doctor, let me know because I'm really into those. Thank you so much for watching and I hope you have an amazing day.